Welcome back, guys, to the Sleeper ZK YouTube channel. Today we are working on a 2018 F150. It's my new truck. I got my tires put on. Now it's time for the leveling kit. Now this kit is a front spacer only. I got my spacers right here. They're 1-inch spacers that are going to amount to a 1.5-inch kit. Now this how-to I'm doing is going to be the same for just about all of them, all the way up to, I believe, a 3-inch kit you can get. But this is just the front strut spacers only. I'm not going to be doing anything with the back, and I'm not going to be doing anything with upper control arms or anything like that. This is a real simple kit, and so yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is actually prep the spacers. These studs need to be installed. As you can see, there is a recessed side of a threaded hole. I'm going to go ahead and install these studs in here because these need to be pre-installed, because that is what is actually going to take over the original studs in the truck. And the reason why I'm doing this first is I'm actually going to put a little Loctite on there and zip all those down so that way they can set up. So that way when you're tightening up your studs at the end, after your strut is installed, if you're having any issues with the nuts, they won't back out this stud. So a little bit of thread locker. This is blue medium. I'm going to install this real quick, get these ready to go, and then we're going to get the truck jacked up and go from there. Alright, I got my studs installed. Put a little blue Loctite on there so these can set up, and these are essentially ready to go. We got our hardware here. So now we need to get the truck jacked up. And my first helpful hint that I'll give you is obviously you need to jack it up by the frame. You can't do it by the A-arms because you're going to need that suspension to be completely relaxed and extended. So jack it up by the frame. I'm going to be using 2 jacks, 1 on each side, because ideally you need to lift the whole truck. There is an anti-sway bar going from side to side, and if you only jack up one side at a time, the anti-sway bar is going to be fighting you, because that side's going to be compressed and that sway bar is going to want to keep this one compressed, and you're going to need all you can get for that lower control arm to relax all the way down to get that strut spacer out. So let's get it jacked up and then we'll go from there. Almost. Next step, we got to pull the wheels off. I do have the frame of the truck blocked up too. These are factory lug nuts, should be 21 mil. These are 19 because these are some aftermarket ones that when I had my tires put on, the tire shop said that my original lug nuts were swelled up, which is a common thing. And without telling me, they just put all new lug nuts on and charged me for them, which I wasn't happy about. So I'm not going to name drop them because they were super nice and agreed that they should have told me. And I have factory lug nuts that I would like to put back on because my spare tire tools and all that won't work with these, and plus I don't like them. So I will be switching these out for some 21 millimeters. We'll take the other side off. Look at these bad boys. Brand new set of BFGs. You can see here's our strut that we need to get out. There's 2 bolts down at the bottom there that come from underneath here. These will have to get pulled out. There's 3 studs on top with nuts on them. Those are going to need to come out too. So 3 on top, 2 on the bottom. We need to get this strut out on both sides. So I got my top 3 off. The bottom 2 on the studs are off. The last thing is this upper control arm. Take this nut off right here. Everything's 18 millimeter. So this is ready to come apart, and this thing's maxed out, which for your 3-inch kit, guys, that's what they're worried about. When you lift too high, this angle gets too steep, and you can see the bind it puts on this ball joint. The aftermarket units switch that angle out. That's why 3 inches is the max they want you to go for these control arms. We're only doing 1.5, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But best way to get these joints apart, you can use heat, but you're likely going to ruin this rubber boot. The best thing to do is just to get a hammer and smack it right there. Do a little shock therapy. That's what I like to call it. And actually, just to be safe, sometimes you never know when stuff's gonna blow apart. Leave a nut on there just to be safe. See, just like that, she's loose. Now I can take my ratchet and finish that up. Because of the sway bar on there. Oh, that scared me. It's actually still kind of holding stuff up. I mean, you want to be careful you don't pull this out because you'll actually hyperextend your CV joints, and those can pop out. So now that I got that out of the way, we got a little more freedom to move. And actually, we need to go do the other side too, and that should allow this whole lower assembly to lower as much as possible. All right, so the other thing I decided to do is to go ahead and pull the tie rod off. Same deal with it. Just hit right here. Sorry, I know it's dark. Hit the knuckle right here. Don't hit there, and don't hit the stud either, because all you'll do is mangle it up. Just like that. Now, that just creates more room. In the end, it's going to make it easier to get this strut out, because ideally, we're going to end up switching side to side with these. See, now that my top studs aren't seated anymore, so you can't hardly. I need to get some light out here. You can't see nothing. Hang on. Okay, as you can see, I didn't get light, but I did get the strut out. I actually pried the bottom up out of there, which the other side I'm going to see if I can get the top now. Another thing is be careful all your ABS line, brake line, vacuum lines going to your hubs and all that. They're getting kind of pulled on with this leaning over, but should be okay. All right, so I got this strut out. Driver's side, it came out the bottom as well. The top, just given what I had, wasn't working too good. So we're gonna go ahead and put our spacers on. And if you look, it's pretty obvious. There's only one way these can go on. And it's gonna be just like that. That's sticking out just a little bit there. Hopefully that's not a problem. That stud. See, this kit didn't come with any instructions, so I'm just winging it, but I think that'll probably be okay. Worst case, we can shave those down just a touch, but we'll double check. This is the OE stud, the big flange nut. We'll make sure it's the same, which it seems to be just right. I'm pretty sure these must be a lock nut too. Yeah, it is. See, it's a lock nut. So that way we'll use this nylon one. I mean, obviously you have to. There's no other way to do it. That won't work there anyway. So we'll go ahead and get these snug down on there with the washers. And I don't know, I may get my grinder and shave these studs down just a touch too. I don't like how them are sticking out. But we'll get these installed on the struts and then we'll go ahead and put them back in. All right, guys, I got my spacers on. This is the part that's going to make or break the install. These lower studs on here, obviously they press into place in there. What I was able to do is I wanted to get these out, so I had some extra nuts laying around. And I just loosely installed them until they were about flush, and then was able just to take a big hammer and smack these. I got to do the other one yet. But I was able to knock these out, and that'll make a huge difference for reinstalling these. And then when we go to put them back in, we will slide those back in. And then when we tighten them down, we'll make sure they get drawn up tight. And if that's not going to work, worst case, you can always run some bolts through there and just hold the other side with a wrench and nut and tighten them back up. But we're going to try and reuse these and should be good to go. All right, I got the other side done. I'm going to tell you too, don't hit directly on these studs. You'll ruin them, and then you won't be able to get the end of it'll swell, and you won't be able to get nuts back on it. Okay. I got my strut back up in there. I got one bolt nut started. Now that we don't have those studs in the way, I'm just going to use a pry bar. We just got to walk that right back into its place, and then we'll be good. Boom. Got it. When you get these in, you have to be really careful you don't tear your boots. All three uppers are in. All three as in both lowers are in. So now we can take two of our studs. Just dropped one. And slide that back in place there. And we'll use our bar here. Line this one back up. And then we can probably start those with a hammer. But put our 2 nuts back on there, our 3 nuts back on the top. Get rid of stickers. And we'll go do the other side. And we'll put everything back together. Zip these studs right back up in. Oh, better go the right way. And we're set. Alright, one more tip as we're putting this thing back together. The reason why we got the truck sitting on the frame is because we needed this jack. Because when you go to put your upper arm back to the spindle or knuckle, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to jack the loader control arm back up and compress that spring a little bit. So luckily we got this other bottle jack here. That's what we're going to do. Because when we release those, it was just enough to where you can't get these two back together. So we're going to jack that up and then bolt it back up. Alright guys, well there you have it. Got the last of it bolted up. See, I jacked up that lower control arm to get my upper ball joint bolted back on, as well as my tie rod. Went ahead and cleaned up the hub while it was up. The only thing I got left to do is bolt the wheel on. So see, this side I already got bolted up, ready to torque the lug nuts, correct lug nuts. So I'm gonna bolt this wheel on, set her back on the ground, and see what she looks like. Oh, there it is, back on the ground. Holy, it looks more like 1.5 inches. It'll settle a little bit once I roll back and forth, but so far I like it. Back it out and see what it looks like. I gotta torque them lug nuts. Yeah, actually I gotta change the back ones first too. Well, there you have it guys. She's done. It does have a couple 100 pounds of weight right now behind that rear axle. But I'd say it is just barely taller in the back than the front, which is perfect. So I take that weight out, it'll still have a slight rake. I'm gonna be doing a lot of towing with this thing. So anyways guys, I'm cold. I've had enough. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment down below. Be sure and like and subscribe. And as always, dadgummit, stay good. We will see you later.